Hey everyone, thank you for stopping by Indie Dave Comics. I, of course, am Indie Dave. Some of you may know I write under the pen name of David Shawn. A little bit about me: I'm an unpublished hobby writer. Uh, I've got a couple of small projects going right now. I've written 6 scripts, I'm working on a 7th. I would describe my writing style as kind of a grittier, more poignant Mark Millar and Grant Morrison if he had that brain thing that John Travolta had in Phenomenon. This is going to be a 2-part series. Uh, it's basically a recommendation. It's the way that I kind of do things. This first part is going to be about distilling your idea down to the point where you're ready to write a script. And if that gets good feedback, if you really like that, then we'll make a part 2 where I actually talk about writing the script. Uh, the people I think will benefit most from this are maybe those who have never written a script before. Maybe you get that idea in your head. You're like, oh, I have this great idea for this superhero. Does this and that. And but writing a script seems daunting. Like, well, only professionals write scripts. Well, this is kind of how I break everything down from that idea to the point where I write the script. It kind of in organizing your thoughts down into that script part. Probably more experienced people do something similar to what I do. I'm sure it's not a new way of doing stuff. It's probably this. It could be the standard way for all I know. I can tell you it's. I'm not going to claim it's the best way. I'm not going to claim it's the only way, but it's the way I do it, and it keeps it kind of organized. All right. We're going to start. We're not going to talk a little bit or too much about ideas, because that's kind of the way that's those are things that you come up with yourself. But we're going to talk a little bit. One of the things is always have like a notebook or a smartphone on you. A lot of people carry their smartphones, and they have like little note sections in your smartphone. So if you come up with an idea, write it down. Write it down in your little notebook. Write it down in your smartphone. Good ideas. A lot of them start with what ifs, and you can do things like, what if ghosts were real and people were myths? Or what if everyone in the world was a robot and only one person knew? These are kind of your starting ideas. These are also what you might call what I would call a premise, your basic premise for your comic book. Uh, Another way to get ideas is intellectual property theft. That's basically what you're going to do is you're going to take an idea that's already out there, and maybe you're going to put your own twist on it. You're going to do like, what if Superman only had powers if he was angry? Or what if Spider-Man shot foot webs? Uh, the the comic book Irredeemable by Mark Waid is pretty much what if Superman went bad. You could break it down to that simple. That's your basic premise. So obviously, to start, we're going to talk about basically the method and mechanics of getting to the script part. We're not going to really go into philosophy and narration and storyboarding, that kind of stuff. At least not in this one. This is basically the mechanics of breaking down your story. So you're going to start with your premise, and your premise is going to be that what if scenario. Next, you're going to go to your overall outline, and this is your big overall story outline, what your story is going to be about. This is going to go into a little more detail. It's going to flesh everything out. It's also going to talk about your characters and who they are and that kind of stuff. And then we're going to go into the what I call the script, scene, or page outline. There's actually can be a step between this if you're doing like a 4-issue series. You might do an outline for each individual book, and then you might get to this script, scene, page outline. I'll go into that more in detail when we get there. We're going to do a little example. The next stage would be actually writing the script. This video is going to cover right up to that point, and then maybe we'll do another video because there's different kind of mechanics involved in actually getting your idea down on paper at that level. And then after the script is written, alcohol. Have yourself a drink, you wrote a comic book script. All right. So the first thing we're going to talk about is the premise, and I came up with something real quick, just something real simple, just for the fun of it, to kind of demonstrate how I would break something down. So the premise of our mythical comic book is going to be: what if Batman only enforced parking violations? Uh, and we're going to A lot of this is probably more into detail, more into the outline section, but we're going to put this because this is real simple breakdown. And in this scenario, the villain is stealing all the parking spaces in the city, and he owns all the tow trucks in the city. So he's going to hold the city hostage. All right, so that's our basic premise, and really you could break it down to just that first thing on the list. Next, we go into the actual outline. You'll see here I have it as bullet points. That isn't really necessary. It's just the way this program worked out. You can write it however you want. You can write it as a simple story, just a few paragraphs breaking down your story. We're going to call our hero, since we can't use Batman, we're going to call our hero the Night Kangaroo. The Night Kangaroos discover that every parking meter in the city is occupied. When all the parking structures fill up with cars, the city doesn't have enough tow trucks to move everyone, and there's mass panic. The villainous Townator is taking control of the tow trucks and holds the city ransom. The Night Kangaroo must track down and end the scourge of the Townator before it's too late. Alright, and our main characters, they're going to be Night Kangaroo, who is Billy Niles, a parking enforcement vigilante. He has pouches full of unusual gadgets. His parents murdered by a mugger looking for change for the meter. Upper middle class, city accountant. The mayor, this is the mayor of New Old City. He's mean with a heart of gold, concerned with the loss of parking revenue in the city, and he's not a fan of Night Kangaroo. And our bad guy is the Townator, the mayor's long-lost twin brother, who's killed Billy's parents, and he wants to slowly bankrupt the city for revenge on his successful brother. This would be your basic outline. Now, if you were going to make this into a 4-part series, you would do an outline for each individual issue, because what you want is an outline that describes what each issue is going to accomplish. The first one's going to cover maybe your origin story, and then get into what the problem is, what the crime is. The next issue might be Night Kangaroo investigating the crime and coming up against the bad guy for the first time. And then your 4th issue would be, he gets into trouble. Maybe he's caught and he's going through the Batman thing where he's been tied up and now he has to escape. And the 4th one would be, the conclusion, how he stopped the Townator and saved the city. So that would be an issue outline. And each issue then would get the script scene page outline. The script scene page outline is in your one book. You want to figure out about how many pages you want it to be. My scripts, I try to keep them around 22 pages. That's the industry standard. Generally, some more, some less. So what I do is I break everything down scene by scene. So the first scene is going to be he's in New Old City Street. The name of the city is New Old City. From a rooftop, Night Kangaroo watches as a man double parks his car, enters a nearby brownstone. He doesn't use flashes or parking lights, and Night Kangaroo bounces down, uses one of his gadgets to lift the car into the air, and he notes there are more cars parked on his street than usual. And I put after that between 2 and 3 pages. That's about how long I would write that scene. The next scene would be cut to the Townator, and he's sitting in shadow asking his main henchman how his plan is going. Henchman says things are going well. They have over half the city locked down, and Townator is pleased and laughs maniacally. You might be able to get that into 2 pages. And then the next scene would be the mayor's in his office, basically talking to Night Kangaroo, and they're going over the problem, and Night Kangaroo, decides that this is where he's going to start investigating. and then again 2 or 3 pages. This is where these 2 to 3 pages, you're going to break down as many scenes as you can into until you get to your whatever you want. My last script that I wrote was 24 pages. This one you might do 22 pages. So then you're going to write all your scenes. You're going to kind of guesstimate about how many pages your scene's going to be. Sometimes you're going to have 1 page, it'll just be a splash page. Maybe sometimes you might have an extended fight scene that goes 3 or 4 pages. The point is to get your story broken down from your big idea, to distill it down to this level, to just before you write the script. What this does is it helps you organize your thoughts, it helps you organize your pages, and it can help you organize if you've got multiple issues, how you're going to write those issues. If you've got a plan going forward and you've got it to this point, then it makes it much easier when you get to the script part to write the script. The hardest part of that's going to be writing that first scene. Once you get some momentum going, then it's going to be a lot easier to write scene by scene by scene. Also, what you'll find is that things might change from your outline, your original outline, to the script. And the reason that is because you're going to come up with new ideas especially while you're doing the script scene page outline. As you're doing a scene, as you're outlining a scene, another idea is going to pop in your head. Oh, what if he does it this way? Or what if instead of the bad guy doing this, he does this instead? So your outline is really going to be a suggestion, and things will change by the time you get to the actual script writing. And generally, the change will be better. So that's how I break everything down. If you have any suggestions, if you're a more experienced writer than I am, feel free to put in some more suggestions in the comments box. Please like, share, subscribe. I'm Indie Dave, and thank you for watching. Have a good one.
Please hang up and try again.